Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome for today's lecture on effective presentation. This is a very important lecture because in this lecture we will learn about the effective presentation skill, how you can communicate in a good way. And this is a skill which is very important, and it's very important in your whole life. For example, if you're a scientist and during your graduation you have to make several presentations, then you have to give presentation in the conferences, and then if you have to like if you are going to have a company, the startup, then you have to present your pitch in front of audience. And throughout life we have to present our data, being the researchers or being entrepreneurs, and we have to meet people, we have to greet people. So this is very important skill that we have very good presentation skills. So this is very important lecture for you. You should learn the effective presentations. And my details are given. This is Dr. Aftab Ahmed. I am serving as president of National Academy of Young Scientists and founder of Research and Innovation Club. And my email address is given. If you have any further question, you are most welcome to ask me. And so we are going to start, and then the first thing is specifically prepare for the first minute. It's very important. The first minute in any of your presentation is very important, because in the first minutes, when you go towards the dice, or if you are going to present in at the stage or whatever place you are going to present your data, your heartbeat will increase, and like your heart is pumping and pumping the blood. You are in a fight and flight mode, and then your respiratory system is also, in order to give the blood to the whole body, then your respiration is also increased. You might be shivering. So this is a condition, and you might have noticed this, that when you go towards like stage, after a minute or two you will be normal, and then you can present your data very well. So you have to hold your nerves, you have to control your nerves, you have to prepare very well for the first minute, because this is very important. And if you are not very well prepared for the first minutes, uh, like what you are going to present, you should prepare in your mind, then you will be in trouble for the rest of your presentation. So this is very important. If you present your first minute in a good way, then you will be very happy and you can present your presentation in a very good way. Otherwise, if you are like shivering, and if you are like your hand is shivering, your like someone is shivering, then it will be very hard for you to present your data. And this has happened to me. This is my own experience, that when I was in the university student, and somebody asked me to present my data, and believe me, I was shivering there, and it was very hard for me even to give my own introduction. But later on, with the practice, I can present on any forum. I have presented on like large forums, like World Economic Forum, World Science Forum. So there is a gatherings of thousands of people, and I was presenting my data normally. So this is that you can do through the practice, but you have to prepare. This is very important, that you should learn to prepare very well for the first minute, because that's important. And then you shouldn't ignore your audience. So your whole presentation, your data may be the same, the slides may be the same, but to whom you are going to present, this is very important, because you are not going to present the same thing if the audience is like any technical committee who are the expert of your field, and to any layperson in your pitch, for example, then you have to, the slides may be same, but you have to present in a totally different way. In like if you are going to present to your colleagues in a conference presentation, you have to present in a very technical way the data you have, how you have gathered the data. You have to use the technical terminologies. But when you are going to present to, for example, your pitch in your startup, or if you are going to present to a non-technical committee, then the data may be the same, but you have to present in a very simplified form. You haven't used any jargons. You haven't used, if you will use that, then that will not have a good impact, because the people will not understand. So you have to simplify it. So this is very important, that you, whom you have to present your data, and you have to prepare your mind accordingly. So this is actually my own experience, that wherever I've been to over 100 universities of Pakistan, and I have given the presentations in all these universities. So wherever I go, I ask the organizer that to whom I am going to present. Either they are the BS student, either they are the MPhil students, either they are the PhD students, or they are the faculty members. Because when you prepare in your mind that what you are going to present, and this is very important for you to present. And it's also very important to use the less text, because if you will, like if you put a lot of text on your slides and you're reading that don't give a good impression. So try to keep very less text in your presentation. This is also very important. Don't put a lot of data. If you are going to a conference presentation and you are going to present your data, then, or if you are going to present your pitch, for example, then your introduction and your conclusion should be very catchy, and it should be very clear, because when you present in a conference, people give more attention towards your introduction when you give a brief overview of what you are going to present and what conclusion you have got from your study. So people normally forget what you are going to present in between, but they remember what introduction you have given and what conclusion. Mainly, like if you started your presentation and they will be sleeping at the end, you present they just wake up to your concluding slide and they ask a question from that. So this is very important to present your introduction and conclusion in a very catchy way to attract the people. And then you have to keep your story captivating. This is very important. There should be a link between your whole introduction and what, on the basis of your introduction, why you have focused on these studies, and then what conclusion you have drawn from your studies. So this is very important that you kept uh, captivating your audience. And then you have to be relevant to your topic. Don't go away from like if you give the site data and present a lot of statistics from that data, that also not, that don't give a good impression. So you have to be relevant to your topics. So whatever you are going to present, try to be very relevant to that. And then if you are going to present your data and you are not putting a lot of text on the slides, then what is good to put small graphics and summary in a way, graphics like that give an overview. You can put a table, you can put an image, or you can put other graphics that give a very good impression, like the stepwise. For example, you are going to give the overview of your company, then you can give like what was the progress in the start, in the middle, where you are now. So that give a very good picture, rather like putting the lot of data on the slide. So you can give an overview that this is we were in first year, now we are here, and that. Or if you are going to present your project, for example, then you can like mention that in the first 6 months we did this kind of work. Then in the next 6 months we have done this work, and now we are focusing on this work. So this really give a good impression of your work. I haven't used the same template and same theme in this presentation. It's not always important, because this is also give you a variety during the presentation. But if you're going to give a scientific presentation in a conference, or if you are going to give a pitch, for example, then it's better to have a same template or same theme, because that give a uniformity in your presentation. So that's also a good idea to use the same template and same theme during your presentation. Then it's also very important to surprise your audience. Mostly audience I have seen in, like, not only in Pakistan, but also in foreign countries, that during the presentation, during the conferences, mostly the audience, they are sleeping or doing their own work. But if you surprise them by some data, by some image, by some good like gesture, for example, or some joke, for example, then that also give you attention. If you see, for example, you are presenting in a conference and you observe that nobody's listening to you and they are doing their work or they are sleeping, for example, then you can surprise them to give to get your attention. So this is a trick that also work for you, and this is you can get after a practice. So this is not like in your first presentation you are going to do that. And then you have to use variety in your examples. Whatever presentation you are making, you shouldn't repeat the same examples again and again, and you should give a variety during the presentation. Then we have to put scientific images or diagram with text, we should add the text after the images. That's also good, give a good impression. And if you have picked some image from Google or from other research article or from a book, then it's good to give a reference that give the authenticity of your work. Like if you put some image, if your data is like you have worked on some, for example, biofertilizers, and this is how it works. It fixes the nitrogen and this and that, and you have taken an image from an article, from a review article, or from a book, then you should put the reference of that book, and that really gives a good impression if you put the reference, because that make it more authentic. And sometimes it happens that we put very poor graphics with low pixel that give a very bad impression. So we should always put the images with the good graphics, and the pixel should be high. It shouldn't be low. It should be very sharp. That's really a good impression. So we shouldn't use the images with the low graphics and low pixels. We should use with the high. And then we shouldn't put graphics and graphs which are very complicated on one slide. So they are really complicated, and nobody is going to listen to those. If especially in the pitch, if you have used like complicated sort of graphs, then they will not understand it. In that case, you have to use very simple graphs that they can understand. So this is very important, that to use in that kind of, so you have, that's why I have mentioned in the very start that you have to know your audience, and on that basis you have to present your work. And if you are going to present your pitch, for example, or if you are going to describe your company, what they have done, or if you have to describe your idea, then you should use the simple form of graph, so the audience, they could understand it. Sometimes it happens, and it used to happen, especially in the start, that this is the people, they are explaining something and they turn on the laser and they are explaining, and on one hand they turned it on and they are explaining to the audience and explaining, and it is on the same spot. So this is, we shouldn't do it. We should have like move to different places. Or sometimes it happens that you are at the very beginning and you just press it and keep it pressed, and it's going to towards the audience, into their eyes, and everywhere on the roof. So sometimes this is what I have observed in some of the conferences, that the people, they have the pointer and it's going towards the AC and the fan and the roof, and something towards the audience and so on. So you should like be in a very normal position and should present in a good way. Shouldn't keep all the time turn on the laser pointer all the time. So this is also very important. And then we should avoid extra humor. Some presenters, they like to be very humorous and they break jokes all the time. So if you are extra humorous, that give an impression that you are not very serious about this work. Or if you are a good speaker and you use a lot of humor, then that given then the people, they think they only enjoy the humorous part, not the actual message. So we should be like, we can break jokes, but we shouldn't be like all the time we are telling them the jokes. So this is also important. And then we shouldn't kill the audience by the bullets. So in the whole of your presentation, you are adding bullets all the time, 1, 2, 3, 4, or the other like numbers or the doors and so on. So we should also avoid that. We should put less text and try to explain it more, that give a good impression. Whatever presentation you are going to do, or you have put an image and you explain it. Rather, it's just good to practice it and then explain it. That gives a good impression, rather like putting a lot of like bullets and numbers and so on. Sometimes people use the extraordinary fonts. They just actually confuse the brain of the audience. So it's not a good way to put the like extraordinary fonts. We should use the fonts that are in common use. So because the brain is actually prepared, our brain is wired in a way to pick those fonts in a good way. So we should use the ones that are commonly being used in the presentation. They are the simple ones. They are mostly at the top. So we can pick those fonts. Rather, we use the complicated one with many different kind of text. So our brain just focus on those like graphics rather the actual data. So it's very important to use the commonly used fonts rather the complicated one. And then do not speak monotone. Some of the like speakers, they for the whole presentation they are the monotone. I can give you an example of the monotone people. They start with the presentation. This is Dr. Aftab Ahmed, and I have done my graduation from Punjab University, and then I went to America, and then I went to Europe, and then I went to Japan, and I have worked on this machine and then on that machine, but I couldn't get the good results and so on. So this is the monotone. There is no variation. And in my whole of the presentation, there is a variation. So this variation is very important because it actually gives the message that what you are going to focus. I can give you an example from a single sentence that how important is to give the variation in your tone. For example, there is a sentence, let's go outside and play cricket. So this is a sentence. And if you increase the pitch of your tone on each word, you will clearly see that how much impact it had. Let's go outside and play cricket. 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 So you have seen that I have like emphasized on a single word, and it entirely changed the meaning of the whole sentence. So let's go out. So it's meaning going out is important. Outside is important. Cricket is important. Play is important. So whatever is important for us, we are conveying that. So this is how we can entirely change the meaning of the whole phrases when we are in speaking in the variations. And this variation is very important, and this you can gain through practice. So this is very important. Shouldn't be monotone. You should have the variation. And sometimes people speak too low. They speak in a like nobody is listening to them. So it's very important that you speak loudly and confidently. So be loud and confident and shouldn't be the monotone. And then some people, they repeat again and again the same stuff. They repeat again. When you repeat 2 or 3 times, that actually lose the meaning, and people they say that it's not that important. So it's important that you shouldn't repeat the same things again and again, and it should be like once. And some people, they speak very fast and nobody is understanding them. Some I have like seen some of the presenters, they that is their natural tendency that they speak fast, but when you have to make the people understand what you are going to say, it's very important that you shouldn't be that fast, because if you will talk in a very fast way, then nobody will understand. So this is as simple as you can say. So this is very important that you shouldn't talk very fast, you shouldn't talk very low, because if you will be fast, if you will be low, then nobody will understand what you are going to say. And you have to be like very clear what you are going to say, or you have to explain it in a way that uh, that everybody should understand that. So this is important, that you shouldn't be fast and low. And then there is a proper body language. It's also very important, because our communication, what we are pronouncing or what we are saying, if you are monotone, that is like in that there is a variation in this number, but people say that is just 10% of the communication. Rest of the communication, 90% of your communication or 70% of your communication, is more than 50%, is your body language, how you moves your hands, how you moves your eyebrows, how you moves your eyes, and how you move your cheeks. So everything, your hands, your body, every message is very important. And this is the main thing that you are conveying to your presenter. So if you want to learn this, you should watch some of the TED talks in which the speaker, they are very good presenters, and see how they are presenting their. Steve Jobs is a good example. He used to present the new products from the Apples. He was a good presenter, so you can watch him presenting his work and his products, and you will see how he was using his body language. So body language is very important. and there is a whole course or there is a whole lecture on proper body language. And sometime when we have the chance, then we will discuss in detail. Or if you have a meeting in person, then we'll discuss in detail that how proper body language is important and how we can use our body language to convey the messages. So this is also very important. And then if you are, this is specifically for the like if you are going to present your pitch or some idea, then you show your passion and motivation for the work. I have seen, like I've been to judge it, to be the judge in several conferences or in several pitch competition or ideas competition or the entrepreneurship shows, for example. In all that, we see what motivation and passion is among the presenters. Some presenters, they just come and like they present their work. It seems like they are not that, somebody has asked them to present this and they are just presenting that. But some people, believe me, they they show the passion. They are into that subject and they present in a way that they are very motivated to do that kind of work. That gave them extra marks. So whenever you are going to present your pitch or your idea, then you have to show your passion. It seems that this is inside you, and you want to convey that message to everybody. So it's very important to have your proper passion and motivation in your presentation. And at the end, you should open house for discussions and questions, and it's very important. You should ask the people, like if they have any question, they can ask to you. And then this is also very important, that we should handle the questions properly. We should handle them in a way that it's like, I have been to several international events. What I have liked in those, that sometimes the some people ask a question, and the presenter who is going to answer that question, he listens the whole questions very carefully and then repeat it. Like somebody asking question, okay, in this presentation you have explained the mechanism of photosynthesis, and you have used the photosynthesis, in this case the oxygen come from that, and then it reacts with the water and produce CO2 and so on. So this is the question here. This is just an example. And then the presenter who is going to answer that, he repeat that question. Okay, you have asked about the photosynthesis in which the oxygen comes and react with water, CO2 is produced. So that he should be clear, and everybody in the listeners, they should also be clear that what he has asked, and he is going to answer that question. So this is also very important, that we should listen the questions very good. Some people, this is, I have my personal observation during the interviews, during the conferences, that the people, somebody start asking the question and he hasn't completed it, and they start answering the question. This is not a good gesture, and this is not a good thing that we should do in the presentation. Listen the whole question very carefully in your mind, and till he is asking the question, prepare the answer in your mind, and then give the answer, the best answer. If you are not aware of the answer, then you can excuse that I haven't studied that mechanism, or this is beyond my, like if somebody asks maybe relevance to your study with some other study and you haven't gone through that study, then you can simply explain, okay, I know what you have done, but I am unaware the other people what they have done. So you should refuse it in a way that it's in a way that you have refused to answer, but in a very gentle or in a very polite way. So this is very important, that we handle questions very carefully and properly. And thank you very much for your listening. We will extend this presentation. I am going to give some more presentation on the topic that how we can have effective online communication. And I will share those presentation with you as well. So I'm sure that so many people, especially the young one, they find it very hard to give the presentations in an international or national conferences. Sometimes it's very hard to give the presentation in the language like in English, or you are like in a conference and you think that you forgot the actual word, or you will not be able to present in English, then you can start in Urdu. There is no wrong in that. You can present in your local language, and confident that people will understand in a better way if you will be presenting in your local, and you shouldn't feel ashamed or anything like that. Now you should present the work in a best uh, way you can present. I know one of our director general back in my PhD studies, he used to say that, okay, explain uh, this thing either in Punjabi, in Urdu, in Pashto, in Balochi, Sindhi, or in English, whatever language source you are, you can best describe, you can explain in that. And that's really give a good like impression that you are explaining in a way, and that if you are like very touched and if you are motivated, then that's not a problem. You can explain in a way. So I'm hopeful that these tips will be very helpful for you to present your work in a good way. I'm I'm sure that you will have many questions and many concerns, and you will have different feelings in your when you are going to present your. So if you have any questions, you can surely ask me, and all of you can comment, and I can guide you in person if you need. But one message is very clear, and that is your presentation need practice. If you have to present a very short presentation, just like 3 minutes, you have to practice for hours for that. The longer presentation, it needs less practice. But if you have to present 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, it needs 2, 3, 4, 5 hours of practice. So you have to be very concise, and you should prepare in your mind that what story you are going to build, how you are going to present, what you are going to present. So that's very important. So you have to practice it a lot. Practice is very important, and in order to be a good presenter, you also need a lot of practice. I will at the end I will share 10 hours and 10,000 hours rule. 10 hours rule is that you can understand anything in 10 hours at the very basic level. For example, if you are going to learn how to drive the car, you can learn in 10 hours of practice. But if you want to be the best in the world, whether it's the presentation skills, whether it's the writing skills, whether it's the driving skills, whatever skills, it's the cricket, hockey, whatever, it's the 10,000 hours rule, that you have to practice it 10,000 hours. Then you will be the best. You will be the unique in the world. So practice is very important. If you will practice it more, you will be improved gradually, and you will be the best at that. Thank you again for your listening. I'm hopeful that this will be good for you. And once again, if you will have any questions, you are most welcome to ask.